Today is spring cleanup day. All these messes I have everywhere. I swear I'm not a complete slob, but it sure looks like it right now just because it's been wet and cold and I just kind of run out and do something and drop stuff where it is and leave it some time. But first point of order is to get these little chickens locked up. I would prefer that they free range all the time because they definitely need to eat grass and whatnot, but these little suckers are not conducive to cleaning and digging. They'll be right underneath my feet. They'll be destroying these plants, these little seedlings that I've set out for the day because I'm hardening them off. And some of this stuff is going to be going in the ground like today, tomorrow, and the next couple days. So how do we get chickens to go into their coop? Can of corn. See, they're looking at it. They'll follow me anywhere and everywhere. Come on. Come on, chickies. And if you've never seen a chicken run, it's the funniest thing ever. Come on. Let's go get tricked into staying in your coop for the rest of the way. Come on, little white girl. I train them when I whistle like that they will come running because they think it's food. Hello. Are you suckers for corn? Hey, see, this one ran out of nowhere. And see, here's all these messes I got to clean up. This is for making a hoop house, so I'm not just being a complete slob. But how about you kiddos come in here and you go eat some of that corn over there? Yay for corn. And if I throw some over there, they'll be occupied for a few minutes. Unfortunately, spring cleaning also means cleaning poop out of the coops. Now I come in every single day and I clean out whatever's obviously visible. The bigger coop is so much easier to clean, so this one gets neglected a little bit more. But you know, you gotta do the big clean out every now and then because they're just disgusting. And for people who've never had chickens before and don't know, they keep pooping right while they're sleeping. They just keep going all night long. So every morning there's really nice piles of potty surprise to clean out. Alright, and locking them up. Have fun with that. Cardboard, cardboard, cardboard. You will see cardboard all over my yard, and I'm not being a slob. In this case, this is because it was so muddy here. This would flood a lot during the winter, and it's still muddy. And just to be able to walk through, I had to start putting down cardboard and then topping it off with mulch. It probably looks better from the other side. But this is cardboard underneath and then mulch on top to keep the mud at least walkable. Originally there was grass in between all these rows, and it worked last year okay, and I would just come and mow and use it as like a mulch. But walking around in the winter, I pretty much killed off half the grass here, and so eventually I have to put some permanent either pavers or a wood walkway or something down because it's just too muddy all the time. More messes to clean up, more chicken wire. That's going to go to good use soon. Big pile of pallets. If you ever do projects with pallets, always look for ones that have this mark on the side that says HT. That means heat treated. It means they didn't use chemicals, because I forget what the chemical is, but when they chemically treat it, whatever chemical they use is like really bad news for you. And especially if you're cutting it, inhaling the dust while you're cutting it, it's not worth it. I get these free from the local Rural King. There's a lumber store in town that gives away pallets too. These are the ones I'm not going to use because lessons learned, it's really hard to build unless you get pallets that are of the same dimensions. So these were all like 4 foot by whatever, 40 inches or whatever that I made this lovely looking pallet fence out of. And these are all the irregular ones that will probably not get used, and I might just chuck them back where I found them, or you know, have a big bonfire, because yes, we're allowed to burn stuff around here, and in rural Illinois sometimes that's the only way to get rid of your garbage. Now this bin here was full to the brim with cardboard this winter. I can pick up as much as I want from the recycling center in town, and I use it all over the garden. I use it to kill off grass this year. I got to go and get some more and fill this thing up again. Spring cleaning doesn't mean just picking up all the garbage, but also stuff like these sedums here are starting to grow out already, and I got to come in, I guess, got to clean off the old top growth. I'll compost all that stuff. And also weed, because I never finished this garden last year. There's weeds everywhere. Eventually it's going to be mulched with something permanent like stone, but for the first year I put in wood mulch, and I'm just letting it decay for a year and improving the soil. And speaking of weeds, I'm going to show you a weed, and if I could have two free hands I would say the word weed with air quotes. I have this stuff coming up all over everywhere, and I believe it's wild garlic. I had a few of them last year. It pops up a kind of a small pretty white flower, and I rototilled all of this stuff here to get it ready for planting. 3 times it got rototilled, and well, all we did was we increased the number of wild garlics popping up. And I'm going to leave it alone because it's not like a horrible, hideous weed. And I would love to have ground covers here anyway. I'm going to put some ground covers in, but I want to see how this grows out this year and see if it looks nice and if it does a good job of covering the soil, because you really don't want bare soil. It's like, you know, like the old saying, nature abhors a vacuum. Well, Mother Nature abhors bare soil, and will try to cover it with anything and everything. And this is not a case of slobbiness on my part. This here is just some clear plastic to keep the ground warm and protect the onion sets that I just put in yesterday. You know, give them a little bit of a head start, because we still have some 25-degree nights in the forecast. Right next to it I have all this garlic. I have garlic in all these beds everywhere. And as you can see, the garlic's growing pretty good already. If I go low, hopefully you can really tell. They're about 6 inches at least tall. I've got all these bulbs and stuff coming up here. And again, chicken wire around everything to keep my little critters away from it. I swear I just live in rubber boots these days. I've just always got them on because it's always muddy. But one of my biggest complaints about having chickens, is they throw their beer cans all over the yard. They're just such little slobs. I'm telling you, these little chickens are alcoholic slobs, and they leave their beer cans everywhere. But I can't fault them, because I'm sitting in their coop with them right now, enjoying a nice noon o'clock beer mosa in a mason jar, no less, because that's rural living at its finest. And if you don't know, a beer mosa is cheap beer like bush beer and orange juice. It's better than it sounds. These kids, they must be drunk. It's the only explanation for their behavior. All right, party chicken. And here is a chicken guarding their nesting boxes. There's an egg back there, but I don't think that's hers. She's kind of crazy. These white girls are just neurotic little birds, but they are the most reliable layers. They lay an egg every single day, rain or shine. She's a white leghorn. And this here is a hoop house. You know, you can see I have the plastic taken down right now, but it's just clear polyvinyl plastic, and then when you put it over when it's cold, it keeps everything from dying when it gets too cold. Obviously you still need to have some cold resistant plants this time of year. Like I've got these tiny little spinaches growing in there. I mean, if I zoom up, oh, they're actually pretty big. No, they're not. They're small. And I just planted onions the other day, and if you can really tell, I mean, they're already greening up. So the hoop house, or excuse me, I should call it a low tunnel technically, but I personally don't like this PVC. This is a temporary one that I built, but it's kind of flimsy. My last ones were, you know, better quality. I made them out of hoops out of conduit instead, so they were metal, and I could build off of it. See, with this PVC, if I drill a hole in these things, they snap. They just snap right where I drilled a hole, and you don't have that issue with the conduit, because I really need to have like a piece of wood connecting them through the middle to give it some structure so it could support snow load. We didn't have a lot of snow, so it wasn't a big issue this winter, but in general, when I get around to it, I'm going to make some better quality hoops. And one nice thing though is it gives me something to put this chicken wire up and hold it in place, because these chickens would be in here decimating that spinach if I didn't protect it. So here is one of the joys of rural living, is that I have drainage ditches instead of sewers and, you know, stuff that modern 2020 type people have come to know and expect. Instead, I have a septic tank here. I do have city municipal water, but the septic just is, you know, out of my yard. This is not the septic. This is just drainage along the side of the road for all the water that accumulates. And today I am going and I'm cleaning this out. And you can see all these big piles here. And I've barely even started. I haven't even done 100 square feet. I have 900 square feet of drainage ditch all along the side of my property. And as you can see, the chickens were being very helpful. They're coming and they're eating just the most disgusting stuff imaginable that I'm pulling out there. Hi Ginger, are you eating gross stuff today? You are? That's nasty. Anyway, this I haven't even dug yet. This is just stuff I'm raking out, and it's big piles of heavy wet slop. So it's not supposed to rain tomorrow, and I'm going to let it dry out at least a little bit before I start moving it somewhere else. Now, the road over here is more than a foot higher than the drainage ditch, so all the gross stuff from over there runs down into this drainage ditch, and it's asphalt, and I'm sure there's oil and nasty stuff. So it's not good dirt that I would use for vegetable gardens, but for like a flower bed or something, I can use this stuff. It'll be just fine. And well, I'm out of breath actually from just like 20 minutes of raking stuff out. And as fast as I rake this out, this stuff just piles up even more. And so lessons learned, moving from, Chicago area to rural America, I'm going to have to probably come out once or twice a year minimum and just clean this ditch out to make sure it drains okay. Now, to explain why it's so important to clean out these drainage ditches or swales or retention areas, whatever you want to call them, here's a raised bed, and hopefully you can see there's a lot of pooling water. And this whole area just fills up with water all the time, even though it's higher than the drainage ditch over there. And I put in 3 drain pipes last year in this area, and it still floods a little bit. It looks okay today, but in general this area really floods, and I need to get all this flooding or pooling under control. And to show you what a difference it makes, so here I just dug out for 10 minutes, and you can see how much water is in the area where, I'm sorry, I didn't dig it out, I just raked it out. And you can see how much water is suddenly moving its way down to the drainage ditch or swale. And then when we get over here where I haven't worked, it's like a trickle compared to the other areas. So again, I think I'm going to have to clean this out once or twice, 3 times a year, whatever, and make sure it's working properly, because I need to get all this pooling water off of my property. Otherwise I'm going to be shut down for marketing gardening and other things for a good chunk of the year. This is what chickens look like taking a dust bath. They're very weird. They roll around, they get dry stuff up in their feathers to try to control their mites, and it's a very social time for them. This is one of the few times where they all just get along and they don't fight with each other, because otherwise that's what they do all day long, is they kind of fight with each other. And if I can get over here and show you some cleanup, they're kind of funny. This one's, hello little girl. That would be Gilligan, and she's taking a dust bath and she's trying to eat some stuff at the same time. That weed that she's pecking at there, if you can see it, that is called henbit, and I'm going to go over there and I'm going to show you that in a moment. Henbit is called henbit because the hens bite it and eat it. I find that mine, some days they eat it, some days they don't, but it's a weed in my yard that is edible, so hey, go for it. Look at this crazy chicken. As far as weeds go, this stuff is okay in my book. This is called henbit. I'll zoom up real close so you can see what it is. It's in the mint family, and it's edible. You can eat this. I don't. You can make a tea out of it, whatever. But I actually let it grow out on purpose. This whole section of my front yard, I dug it out and I planted these evergreen arborvitaes. And I wasn't really ready to mulch this quite yet. I put some wood mulch, but it's just stuff that I want to let decay and improve the soil. So I let this henbit grow out wild, and as you can see, my chicken is foraging in it. They don't always eat it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Ignore those bricks. These bricks are going to come and they're going to make a border along here. I have pallets of bricks that I didn't get around to last year. But anyway, I don't mind this stuff because the chickens like it, and also it's a ground cover to cover the bare soil while I'm not ready to mulch yet. And when you come in and you pull it, I mean, you can pull entire plants out in like seconds. So it looks like it's a horrible ground cover, but it's really, there's like nothing to it. This whole thing is like a big plant with one tiny little area. And by the way, the chickens always have to be exactly where I'm at. I let them out because they were whining all day long while I was trying to clean up and shoot this video. This is the one time when chickens are really good. You come and you expose the soil, or you turn something over, and then they come and they eat all the bugs, and then they poop there and they fertilize it. And sometimes they eat the weeds too. All right, say goodbye, little chicken. So we're going to fill up this bin in the middle here really quickly. Everything gets composted around here if it can be composted. That bin is only about 4 foot by 3 foot and 4 foot high. The one next to it is bigger, and it's got about 3 cubic yards of horse manure composting right now. It's really hot. Today it was only 140, yesterday it was 160, but when I go and I turn it over, it'll heat back up again. So here we go, filling this thing up. Kitchen scraps too. Banana peels, banana peel, some squash, and coffee grounds, filters and all good stuff. It's starting to get a little bit sunny and warm out here too, so you know what they say, sun's out, guns out! Not really, but it's getting hot. Okay, so that bin, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's about halfway full, 3 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot high. So now I'm going to stop taking all the stuff from the yard that I'm cleaning up, and I'm going to add some manure that I picked up, horse manure from a lady on the other end of town, and we're going to get this compost pile cooking up and hopefully make something useful out of it very quickly. That is the real deal. That's horse poop. It's not even mixed with anything. It's just whatever the horse ate, and it came out the other end, and you can see a lot of the stuff that they eat is still there, because horses don't digest as well as cows that have multiple stomachs or whatever, but it's great for composting and for fertilizing your garden. Well, at least my boots are going to get a badly needed washing. These things were just like so caked with mud that I just, I could like plant in my boots. I'm spraying chicken poop off of my patio because they just poop everywhere. That's what chickens do. They poop everywhere all the time. Sleeping, awake, it's all about poop for them. Hello. So now the forecast has changed, and instead of sunny tomorrow, it's going to be rain, and now it's saying 3 days of rain, so I'm just shutting down for the day. I've been cleaning for like 7 or 8 hours, and I got a lot of weeding done, and I built some new compost piles, and I cleaned some stuff up. It's, a game of inches and not yards, I guess. But 3 days of rain is going to shut me down for a while now, because everything's just going to be mud again. I'm so tired of mud. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll post something a little more exciting than a cleanup day soon. But, hey, in 2 days it's going to be spring, so something to look forward to. And I'm just trying to get a jump start on the spring cleaning thing right now in my house. All right, thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.